I made a general statement to the team, hey, we're going to make some changes. And whatever changes those are, we need everybody to understand that we feel is best for the team. And Nurk is funny. He's played 2 games off the bench, limited minutes, but in both games he's played well.
Right.
So it's not like he's a forgotten man and we don't appreciate him. But we have guys that are playing at a high level right now. Jokic, which I would hope to be closer to 30 minutes, but foul trouble is not allowing that to happen. But he's playing fantastic right now. And then Ken Freed off the bench, kind of that energizer bunny, and playing at the 5 almost exclusively with stretch 4s and Wilson and Gallo. But I'll grab Nurk, but it wasn't a one-on-one conversation. I did that with Da because Da had started 3 games in a row, and I was taking him out of the rotation completely, and I felt that I needed for him to be aware of that, so it wasn't just a complete shock. But as far as changing the starting lineup, after a disappointing road trip and how we were playing and competing, like I said, I told the team that listen, changes will be made.
Okay. With regard to the fouls in Jokic, I think 4 of the 9 or 5 of the 9 over the last 2 games have been in the backcourt.
Right.
Is that encouraging as a coach because those are easy to cut out, or is it discouraging because they're so silly?
Right now, I'll be honest, I'm more discouraged because he has to be smarter. I mean, he's too important. And it's one thing in Europe,
Right.
common foul is okay. Take away the transition, foul him, make him take it out. Well, he had one the other night where we were already in the bonus, so it wasn't like it was side out. They were still going to the foul line. So I think he has to be a lot more disciplined in terms of understanding the importance he has on our team. I'm trying to play him as close to 30 minutes as possible, but he has to meet me halfway on that and not pick up this silly fouls. So yes, you could be encouraged that it's not happening at the basket, but don't take those fouls. And as I told him the other night, I said, Nicole, you're too important for us. So I can't take you out with your 3rd foul because you picked up one out of frustration or just being, not mindful of where you're at. But just imagine the numbers he'd put up if he gets 30 minutes a night. We all want to see that. And Nicola has to help us in that regard.
So what he said is that he just gets really pissed.
No, and you can see it. He gets frustrated, and
yeah.
he takes down the guy, and he has to channel his frustration. I mean,
I was gonna say, how do you get him? So what is this? It's emotions that are given away from him.
Right, and it's whether he thinks the referees are screwing him or whatever, he just has to channel it and be a lot more mentally tough and mature about it. Because again, that's why to go to the 3rd quarter, he picks up his 4th foul. I didn't take him out right away. I trusted him. I said, listen, be smart. But also, if I take him out, then he never gets into a rhythm. I made that mistake too often last year. He'd get 2 fouls in the 1st quarter. I take him out, wouldn't play in the rest of the half. Then at the end of the game, he's got 20 minutes. I said, I got to play Jokic more. Well, you know what? Jokic has to help me play him more. So I played him and let him run, and he played well after he picked up his 4th foul. Then I got him out. But I also wonder sometimes there's conditioning in this issue. When people get tired, they make mental mistakes. So yes, it's frustration, but I also think sometimes fatigue. It's a lot easier to do that than, okay, boom, I got to get back, I can't foul. So there's a lot of things going into it, but he's such an integral part of what we're trying to do and who we want to be that he just has to be more disciplined with that.
Jokic is passing. 5 more assists last night. Obviously limited minutes because of foul trouble, like you said. Have you been around or coached a 5-man who can pass like he can?
I've never coached one. DeMarcus Cousins was a very good ball handler and passer in Sacramento. Been around some other talented bigs, but never a guy that has the playmaking ability that he has. In the open floor, the rebound, the push, the no look, and the half court, facing the basket, back to the basket. To me, he reminds you a little bit of like a Vlade Divac, a guy that was just an unbelievable passer no matter where you put him on the floor. So I haven't personally coached a guy like that, and that's no disrespect to all the guys I've been around. Ilgauskas was a good passer in Cleveland, and they have some similarities, but I think Jokic is, and he'll tell you, he used to be a fat point guard, but he was a point guard growing up. He had the ball in his hands. That's why I think his ball handling, his passing are where they're at, because he has that foundation growing up.
And how does that help you guys on offense? Because you can do so many things with that, and across the league, there's just not many centers that have that playmaking ability. So, just how many more things does that open up for you guys on the offensive end?
Oh, well, I think, our last 2 games kind of speak to it. When you put up the lineup that we're putting up, Emmanuel, Gary, Gallo, Wilson, and Nicola, okay, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Nicola's assists per minute, have to be ridiculous because he gets 5 assists in 19 minutes, but it opens it up, and guys like playing with guys like that because they know when they run, they'll be rewarded. When they cut, they'll be rewarded. So now guys are cutting with purpose. It's human nature. If you run and you cut and you never get it, you stop running and cutting. It's just that simple. So guys like playing with him. But what I like is that it's not just Nikola. Gary Harris first came back 6 assists.
Right.
Last night our starters had 20, whatever it was. So 2 games in a row, starting group had 20 plus assists just from the starting unit, which is terrific. But for me as a coach, we use Nikola in so many different ways, and because he's such a efficient playmaker, and why wouldn't you put him in those situations? Because that's where he thrives, and he makes everybody around him better, which I think is the best definition of a great player. Making people around you better.
I think 20 assists or potential assists from Gary over the last 2 games. What's different about his game? Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of him as reporters, but you see a lot behind the scenes. What's different about him this year, about his game?
Yeah, I would say, we made a real point of emphasis all summer long, and he had a great summer. I tell you, if you guys were around, Gary was in our gym. His body was amazing, but big point of emphasis for us was his handle, his pick and roll play. So he's not just a shooting guard where catch and shoot off the ball. I wanted to be able to put the ball in his hands more, let him make plays. He's so strong. When he gets that shoulder on, he's able to get to the cup and finish. He's got big hands. So I think the biggest change in his game has been ball handling, pick and roll, reads and feel, and then now obviously his confidence in his shot and his finishing. I think, you put all that together, he's a really complete player. Whereas last year, I never really entrusted him with being a pick and roll facilitator, and I think we're seeing more of that, and he's embraced it. He worked his butt off this summer and was able to use it in summer league practices. He played 1 game and then with the select team a little bit, but he's just trying to be a all-round guard, not just a shooting guard, and I think we're seeing early results of all that hard work paying off.
And the Dallas game, one of the toughest losses, worst losses I think for the team, and kind of a low point.
Yeah.
Last 2 games, kind of a high point. I mean,
Right.
what is the vibe with this team right now? I mean, is it going like this with the wins, or is it on an uptick?
No, even obviously that was a tough road trip for us, 2-4. And again, when I say that, there's who are we to say we should beat anybody? I mean, we're still one of the youngest teams in the league. And I think people forget that. I mean, I don't know how many other teams in the NBA are playing so many young guys. But meanwhile, the expectations are, well, we should be this. Well, young teams don't win consistently in the NBA. No excuse. To your question, we come back from that road trip, yes, we're disappointed, but my greatest challenge has been all along staying positive, staying together, and not letting it be a situation when we come into the gym, oh shit, yeah, there's a really bad vibe. There's a negative vibe. I'm not letting them break off into little groups, and it's not going to happen. So obviously, the real challenge is we come back from that trip, worst loss of the year by far, day off, get our minds right. We had a great practice. So I think the only way you're going to get your mojo back, if you will, is by working hard. So yes, we changed the lineup, and I think people now are going to expect, well, we're going to score 125 every night because Gary's in the lineup, because Wilson's in the lineup, because Jokic's in the lineup. It's not going to happen every night. But we got back to work. We had a great practice before Portland. Great game. We had a really good practice the day after the Portland game. Boom. We came in today, and before that, after a game, really light stuff. Let's take a day off. We can't. We don't have that luxury. There's so many things that we need to continue to work on. So I would say right now the vibe is really high. We played 2 really good games against 2 good teams, and I think guys are starting to believe. And Gallo said it last week. I'm not sure I really agree with them, but the whole attitude of it's a long year. We're just in the middle of December. We still have a long time to go. And Gallo and Wilson were part of a team here that struggled, found their rhythm and took off and won 50-plus games. So I'm not really a believer of the whole it's a marathon, not a sprint. Because as Jeff Van Gundy would say, I've run a couple of marathons myself. And when you see the lead pack of Kenyans running, they're doing sub 5-minute miles.
Right.
So, you can't say, well, we're going to be fine. I'm just happy that in the last 2 games, I'm seeing a team that we envisioned that we could be. And now the challenge is, can we sustain it? Can we be consistent with that? And when the nights are where the shot's not falling, we're not getting 38 points in the first quarter, can we defend at a high enough level to keep ourselves in the game? But I think the vibe is good. And even when we were losing games, it never got to a point where, man, this is dysfunctional. this team is falling apart at the seams, and that's been my biggest challenge. And I knew it would be going into the season because of the tough schedule. Yes, the teams that we played in that trip weren't great wins and losses, but it's still a long-ass 6-game road trip, and no excuse. But we have to do a better job next time we go on the road. But I like where we're at.
So no more 6-gamers, so that's good.
Yeah, we have one